Right, welcome back to another new video. Today we're asking a pretty pertinent question, I think, in pigeon racing. And the question is, do families of racing birds exist? Now it's an interesting one. You see on Facebook quite regularly people asking, who's got the best this, who's got the best that? In my opinion, it just doesn't exist. It's a very British thing, way of thinking. And probably not just Britain, but most other countries outside of Belgium and Holland. We're all obsessed with the names of fanciers who sort of own those birds first of all. And it's something that in our loft we pay very, very little attention to. All we're interested in is successful lines, winning lines. It doesn't matter if they were raced by Gabby van den Beele. It doesn't matter if they were raced by Jeff Cooper in this country. It doesn't matter if they were raced by Derek Flowers in our own club. It doesn't matter if they were raced by Bryn and Martin Bevan. It could be anybody. If there's good pigeons there, then we want to get hold of either the good pigeon itself or something closely related to it. It doesn't always work, of course, as Adshel Atkins has been saying in his weekly British Home and World articles. It's very rare to have a brother or a sister who's as good as the actual ace pigeon itself. But that's what we're all looking for. That's the method that we use because we find this a much more productive method than just buying any old pigeon that's been sort of, his grandfather won a race once upon a time. So I hope you find today's video useful. We're going to show you the successful lines in our loft at the moment, which is the Daisy Rose line. Because we think successful lines are far more important than just buying a bird just because his grandparents once lived in the loft belonging to Dirk van den Bulck, or maybe Stefan Lambrecht, or Bert Brasbennen, whoever it may be. Doesn't really exist in our eyes. So I hope you find today's video useful. Let's get into it. Okay, welcome back to the loft. Now in today's video, we're talking about, is there any such thing as a family? Now as I've said in the intro, I don't think there is. It does make me smile on Facebook and other social media sites where you see people asking who's got the best Van den Beeles, who's got the best Van den Bulcks, who's got the best Josh Thorns, whatever the new latest thing is going to be this year. It does make me smile, and to me it's all about marketing. That's all families are. There's no such thing in my eyes as a Van den Beele pigeon, or I know they've been a very successful family, but there's no such thing for me. It's all about successful lines. Now, if you look at the Van den Beeles, if you look at the Van den Bulcks, which are the sort of in craze at the moment, Stefan Lambrechts, Battenberg pigeons, Jellema pigeons, I suppose the first thing you notice is they're all foreigners. And that's something in Britain and certainly other countries around the world. You see the Chinese as well. They're going at the moment mad for Belgian and Dutch pigeons. And the Brits will be the same. We don't really ask, or I don't ask in my club, is that a Sheldon bird? Is that a cousin's bird? Is that a Phillips bird? You know, guys in my club, just doesn't happen. But the boys will certainly talk about a Francois as this one for them. And in my eyes, it's just a fallacy, and it's all about marketing and making money. And there's certainly some very successful people doing that sort of thing at the moment. So in our eyes, it's all about successful lines. Now again, I wouldn't say, I would say we've got maybe a family of our own pigeons maybe, but in our loft it's all about successful lines, and as we've talked about in previous videos, we've got 2 or 3 successful lines that we then like to cross other birds into. We don't like to go too close with our parents. And our current successful line, or one of our successful lines, is what we call the Daisy Rose line. Now this is the matriarch, the hen of the Daisy Rose line. This is Miss Tweedy. As you can see, she's looking well. She's 11-year-old now, coming up to 12 next year. And Miss Tweedy, we purchased her from Peter Stanley up in the northeast. She's a full sister to the Stanley Charmer. She herself has won, and she's been an absolute goldmine for us. And what we're looking to do now, of course, is preserve that line, because that's really, really important to us. She did lay, we've had 5 youngsters off her, I think, this year. She was a little bit inconsistent at the start, but we did get some young birds at the end, and we're hopeful that we're going to breed some nice young birds again next year. So, here's the Miss Tweedy hen. As you can see, she's not a big hen, lovely balanced. She's getting on a little bit now, love her, but lovely balanced, lovely temperament, always stays on the perch when you're cleaning her in the morning, and just a class pigeon really. And she certainly has then produced her like. So very early on, in 2011, she bred this pigeon, Daisy Rose. She was first Welsh Southeast Combine Lillas as a young bird. She was then second Welsh Southeast Combine Brussels as a yearling, and she was then as a 3-year-old first Welsh Southeast Combine Rosemont, which is very similar to Brussels, 350 odd mile. Daisy Rose, we stopped her after that race. Dad wanted to keep her going, but well, who knows, in hindsight perhaps we should have, because she was an absolute machine racing. Always thereabouts, always won the first birds. And yeah, you know, birds that have topped the combine twice are pretty rare in any country. So, there's Daisy Rose. As you can see, Daisy's looking really well, named after my daughter, Daisy. She's an absolute stonker of a pigeon. Again, lovely type, not too big, sort of medium sized maybe small medium sized. Lovely balanced, as you can see there, lovely balance in the hand. And she just got that look about her. She just looks like an intelligent bird. And she's gone on to breed successful racers, none as good as her, but like I said, double combine winners are pretty rare. But she's also then gone on to be the grandam of several winners that have scored well in nationals. And it's just nice to keep her. Whilst it is always a temptation to keep them racing, sometimes it's worth just putting them away, just so you can enjoy just having the bird in your shed, I suppose. So that's Daisy Rose. Fantastic racer, not an outstanding breeder, but the line is there. In 2016, we put the couple back together, the Miss Tweedy hen and the Yorth cock, who are Jansen and Van den Biel. If you want families, like I said, we don't pay any attention to families. We just want fast pigeons. That's all that works for us. And I think if you look on the continent, that's all people are interested in. You look at Jellema's birds at the moment, he's crossing in some Battenberg birds. Battenberg always buys in some Barcelona birds, and then they become Battenbergs. So there's no such thing as a family of pigeons. So please, if you're watching this, don't put on Facebook, who's got the best Van den Bulcks, who's got the best this, who's got the best that. There's no such thing in my eyes. Might be controversial, you might have a different opinion. If you do, put in the comments below, and we'll sort of answer back. But for us, it's not important. So in 2016, we put the couple back together. We bred this hen. Never raced, but as you can see, that same type, the same head as Daisy Rose. We had a sister as well, who unfortunately we lost by mistake, by training her by mistake. This is the 65 hen, the sister was the 64 hen, the blue hen. She's the sire of the 21 cock, who's been very successful for us. This hen has bred several super birds, better breeder than Daisy Rose, and she was the dam of first Welsh Southeast National Hythe, 2019. Again, we've bred some nice pigeons off of this year. Because of the lack of racing, we haven't probably tested them enough. But the line is there. And again, we're looking to preserve these sorts of birds. Yeah. So, with that in mind, in this year, 2010, we put the couple back together again. And we bred some late bred hens. Now, of course, these have never been tested. They've been out. They've been trained locally, not too far, unfortunately, because again, the lack of racing, we didn't bother training them too much. But full sister again to Daisy Rose. And that's one of the late bred hens. Again, similar type, similar character. You can see how calm she is in the hand. Similar sort of medium type, I suppose, small medium hen. And again, for us, just full of class. Nicely balanced, as you can see. As we've said in previous videos, we generally look to the race team for our future stock birds. But because this line is so good, and of course the Geordie hen, the Miss Tweedy hen is getting on a little bit, we decided this year that we'd take some late breds to put back into the family and to keep for ourselves, I suppose. So there's one of the late bred hens. So maybe in future years, we'll be talking about her offspring, doing something. Now this was the last hen that we bred in 2020. Lovely little hen again. She's probably 3 months old now. But again, so calm around the shed. Lovely character, as you can see there. Very similar to her sisters, brothers and sisters. Several of Daisy's, or Daisy Rose's brothers and sisters were very good birds. As Ad Shalakan said in his sort of writings in the Home and World recently, none were as good as Daisy, but they were good pigeons. You know, we've had several down from that line. We've got some in the stock loft at the moment. Because they're a very good line, and eventually we think the blood will out. Eventually you will get another, hopefully, very good bird, maybe a super bird. But as long as the winning line is there, the genes are there, eventually you will out. And it's important that you don't buy too many birds in all the time. Once you've got that winning line, because you will quite easily lose that line. So there's the late bred hen. So again, in future years, hopefully we'll be talking about how these birds have done, the offspring of this hen. And hopefully next year we'll breed some more of those late breds to again put back into the family. So is there a family of birds? Not to me, there's not. It's just clever marketing by auction sites like Pippa. A marvellous job Pippa do. Don't get me wrong, you know, I've got no objections to Pippa. But it's just people like that where they'll market the birds and make people want to buy them. But quite often, in our experience, it's just the winners that you want. It's the winning lines you want from different fanciers. Because I think Van den Beely in the end, I think he had 800 odd birds in his entire clearance sale. Made £6 million, I think, or €6 million. They weren't all champions. It's just, you're just looking for those one or two really, really successful lines in each family. So I hope you found this video interesting. I hope you found it useful. And hopefully in newer lofts, the successful lines you've got, my advice to you would be to preserve them. Keep them going. Because in future years, they will be your winners. Yeah, the birds who come now and again in our loft, they don't stay very long. They're not consistent enough. We want the birds that are consistently there every single week. So, as always, thanks for watching. If you've got any comments about today's video, please leave them in the comments down below. And as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.